Ed Robertson, thank you as always for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. We'll be back with a brand new edition of our program later this week. In the meantime, please enjoy this clip from our upcoming conversation with Mark Shaw. Mark Shaw, investigative reporter, former criminal defense attorney, and legal analyst for CNN, ESPN, and USA Today. Mark's latest book, Abuse of Power, not only connects the assassinations of John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy to the mysterious death of Dorothy Kilgallen, but documents new evidence that suggests that Sirhan was used as a patsy for the assassination of RFK and therefore deserves a new trial. Abuse of Power, available wherever books are sold through Post Hill Press as well as Amazon.com. Mark's other books include The Reporter Who Knew Too Much, a deep dive into the death of Dorothy Kilgallen. In this forthcoming clip, Mark provides a brief recap of the circumstances leading to the death of Dorothy Kilgallen in November 1965.
Hi, this is Les Lanham, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
And good night, Dorothy Kilgallen.
Good night, John. Good night, Tony. Please come again.
I will indeed. Thank you.
I was able to find, went to the New York Library first, New York City Library, and then to the Lincoln Center. If people don't know, they have a very interesting collection of material about Kilgallen and other personalities. And so I went to National Archives and I started looking into what Dorothy was all about. And wrote The Reporter Who Knew Too Much, which did very well, and kind of chronicled her life and times, but also the fact that she was a very good friend of John F. Kennedy's. He used to come to her home on East 68th Street. And I want to tell you about an honor that Dorothy got last weekend, but we'll do that later, to play charades, and Jackie would come and all of that. And so they were good friends, and when Jack Kennedy was killed, she was just livid. She had taken her son Kerry to the White House. He made a big fuss over her. And in fact, the first column she wrote after the JFK assassination was to say that John F. Kennedy died, and the person I remember is a tall man stooping over a little boy who brought his letters from his third grade class at the White House when I took him over there. That's the man who died in Dallas. Well, if you know anything about Dorothy Kilgallen, she was a bullhorn when she went after cases. She had covered the Charles Lindbergh baby kidnapping case, the Dr. Sam Shepard case, and people can read more about that on the DorothyKilgallenStory.org. But I want to move ahead because she gained a great reputation, and then she landed in Dallas. And I always say this, Ed, because there's so many so-called experts out there who've written all of these books who never had set foot in Dallas. Well, my research is patterned after the journey that Dorothy took. And so when she got to Dallas, she interviewed Jess Curry, the police chief of Dallas, and the first thing he told her was, Dorothy, the shots didn't come from back there at the depository. They came from over by the overpass and the grassy knoll and all of that. She then interviewed a detective that was with Jack Ruby after he shot Lee Harvey Oswald, and was amazed at how calm Ruby was when he found out that Oswald was dead. So she started launching an investigation because that didn't make sense to her. And she wrote a series of columns starting with one, The Oswald File Must Not Close. And then she wrote this series on, and then she was at the Ruby trial. We have photographs in the book of her being at the Ruby trial. And one day she walked up to the railing and looked across at Jack Ruby, and he smiled at her. And we found out later that he knew all about Dorothy because at the Carousel Club, What's My Line was a regular program every Sunday night. He had a lot of respect for her. And what happened at the Ruby trial changed everything because she became the only reporter out of 400 to interview Jack Ruby. She did it 3 times during the trial. And she wrote columns about him. But what happened then is that finally she was able, I believe, and I've shown that to be true in the books, after the reporter knew too much, then there was a denial of justice about the Ruby trial transcripts, and then collateral damage, and then fighting for justice, and now this new book. But the key to all of that was that Dorothy was able to talk to Jack Ruby, and he led her to say, listen, you don't need to stay here basically and look into Lyndon Johnson. You don't need to go to Washington, D.C. and look into the industrial complex. You don't need to go to Miami and look at the Cubans. The man you want to look at is Carlos Marcello. And if your listeners aren't familiar with him, He was a very powerful mafia don there. Frank Costello in New York set him up down there. And as 1963 came around, he was the most powerful mafioso in the country. So Dorothy took off and she went over to New Orleans. And we can talk about Marcel a little bit later, but when she was there, she asked her hairdresser, Mark Sinclair, who was a very close friend of hers, to go with her. She got to Dallas, and she started interviewing people and went to Carlos Marcello's brother's nightclub, and she started to put the pieces together. She connected Marcello with Jack Ruby, with Lee Harvey Oswald, all of that, and then she told him, her hairdresser, listen, I'm going to crack this case wide open, but you go home, you go to New York City, and don't you tell anybody that you were here, and don't ask me any more questions about that. So what happened then with Dorothy is that she stayed there, she interviewed people, she went back to New York City, and then she made some startling admissions. One of them was, she said to Mark Sinclair, listen, I'm receiving death threats. I know that the people that are enemies that don't want me to write about this anymore know now that I'm writing a tell-all book for Random House. And I'm scared now. I bought a gun. I'm afraid for my life and my family. She told the other hairdresser she had, if the wrong people knew what I know about the JFK assassination, it would cost me my life.
Our complete conversation with Mark Shaw will air the weekend of December 5th on TV Confidential. One more item, if you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode.